All right, so I was really surprised to wake up. But I woke up full of life. I woke up, now I'm 21 years old, but I woke up and felt like I was 8 or 10, and in the sense of the experience from the time I was in high school and the drugs and all the painful things in my life was gone. I woke up clean.
Wow.
If clean mentally, clean in my heart, clean in my emotions, and I was alive. I woke up alive, and I walked outside. We had a garden area between the main part of the psychiatric ward and the rooms, and everything, I saw life in everything. It was almost as though I could see to the cellular level, and I had never experienced that on any drug trip.
Life and light also?
Light and light. There was, I can't use the word clarity because that's not quite it right, but rarefied light. Does that
Yes,
term, would
yes.
that work?
Yes, yes.
It was a quality of light that I had never seen before, and I was sitting on the grass just amazed because it was living. It was all of a sudden I was transported into a living surroundings, and I was seeing it. It's there all the time. We just don't see it. And there's, this has been, 42 years ago, and there's many, 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 many days in those 42 years that I don't see that. There's sometimes that I'm blessed and that I see it, and I saw it 2 days ago when I went to Tel Aviv. First time in years. But that's another story. I'll tell you about it later.
Right now we're on a mountaintop in Jerusalem where Rebecca lives. So
we're at Har Gilo. It's 930 feet above Jerusalem. And so sometimes the air is rare up here too.
yes, I suppose. In her beautiful garden. So yes, you saw a light.
And at that point, I was just sitting on the grass, and a young man who was another patient came falling out of his room with a drapery cord around his neck. He, of course, was too heavy. He was trying to commit suicide by hanging himself.
And he broke the
cord. It came down off the wall, so he had fallen at my feet.
Right when you're...
God put you to work right away. You don't get any time off. And I didn't know anything, and except that I loosened the cord, and I said, "Don't do this yet." I said, "There's something more. There is life."
Wow.
There is life. I don't know how to tell you about it just yet. But wait, don't do this yet. And we kept in touch after I left. And I met his parents. And but I had to understand what had happened to me. And that's, 42 years later, I'm still understanding. And I'm still learning. So that was my initial experience. And I wouldn't say necessarily, although the hand had the wound or nail print that often represents Christ, I wouldn't necessarily say that was my experience with Christ, although it could be, but definitely it was my experience with God. However he manifested or chose to manifest, I still don't understand. But it was that experience that connected me, that Christ took further, where I met him person to person. So is that enough for today?
No, it's not. I'd like to hear a little bit about the court case.
That's another long story. We save it for. Well, yeah, but maybe I'm getting thirsty and I don't want to talk anymore.
Well, that's your scoot, but it hasn't been very long. We could cut out this intermediary part. You want to take a break?
No.
Let's go for the court case.
No, I don't want to go for the court case right now. But that's the next thing is what happened after that. No, because I meet Christ before the court case.
Well, then let's go to that and only do that.
And all right.
Okay.
All right. So, in the hospital, this happened to me in the hospital. The next thing the first word I hear from God is, take my hand and I will wipe away the tears. Right? And I'm in the hospital. The next word I get is, Rebecca, I want you to stop all medication. Refuse all medication. Legally sign yourself out and tell the staff that you're legally of age to do this. There were 3 things.
And you had just turned 21.
I had just turned 21. Now, I did not know that being 21 gives you the right to do those things. But God knew. And of course, refusing the medication made my mind clear. And also, I didn't need it anymore because I was healed. I didn't know that there was such thing as healing. Didn't even know about it. But obviously, I was restored and drug-free, and God told me not to take any more drugs.
Okay.
And sign myself out. Well, when I went to do that, the nurse had a fit. I said, I'm of legal age. Well, she called the psychiatrist, the head psychiatrist. And I probably shouldn't remember his name. You know, there's a lot in my life I don't remember, but I remember this man's name.
You can give me that.
No, maybe I won't, because maybe his life has changed since then.
Well,
you have to give benefit of the doubt. It's been 42 years, you know.
Well, then you're giving him that benefit, as you wish.
Anyhow, but he was very dark, spiritually dark. Even then, even before I had my experience with Christ, I could see darkness. The problem was I couldn't see light. And this man was dark. Think of The Exorcist and those dark characters that they used to exorcise the demons.
Oh, that's dark.
That's dark. He was dark, and he was tall, and he was probably of European, Hungarian descent, you know. And he came through the hospital doors that day. They flew open, and he's walking, and his hair is flying, and he booms in his voice. He said, "What have I heard?" And his eyes are wild, and he's dark. And he said, "You mean to tell me that God has told you to check out and healed you?" And I said, "Well, yes, sir, I do." "Don't you know that Moses has been in here 6 months and Jesus Christ came in 2 weeks ago?" And I said, "Well, that may be true, sir." But I said, "I'm signing myself out." And he said, "You'll see me again. You'll see me again."
Whoa,
And that was the last.
Whoa.
42 years ago. He was sure that I was going to be back, that this was part of a schizophrenic delusion.
Yes.
You know, and well, the delusion brought me all the way to Israel. The one that keeps speaking to me.
Well, I'd say it's first of all, it's no delusion. It's the only thing that really makes life worthwhile. This connection that you've developed.
It is.
What about this story about the young Jesus group? And when you saw yourself in the mirror with all the light, remember?
Oh, there's lots of stories. Look, there's sort of the next thing that would happen is there's well, of course, in the beginning you heard that I was on felony cases for drug abuse and sales. So that story comes next, where God intervenes miraculously, and it's quite a story.
To get you acquitted.
To get me acquitted.
And,
totally.
And with custody of your daughter.
Yes, so that's a wonderful story. And then it goes on through the years, but there's also a special story how God revealed who I am as a Jew and my Jewish parentage and heritage, and how I came here, and that direction, and how I met my birth mother. I was adopted. She came here when she found me. And so there's more, and these are stories. This is the reality. These are the life. These are the stories we live. And that's for everybody. God interjects himself and intervenes in our life, and that has to do in a living context. And that each of us as individuals are unique, and we have individual gifts and giftings. Yeah. That's another aspect of God's dwelling with us. And where Eliyahu called me a prophet, well, God only knows. And there are some people that have a heart for healing. And it's through that heart feeling and that heart connection and that love that enables the healing power of God to come through them.
Yes, indeed.
If they didn't have that heart, that anointing, or that frequency or power, couldn't. So there's another side, there's another aspect to our life as well as the everyday context. I have lots of stories in our everyday context, Howard, and we'll see. I hope to get to talk with you again. And this is just favorite man in my life, other than Christ. We've been friends for a long time. And Eliyahu and Lehi and Daniel. And even to everyone that works with him are just a special family. And they've made a difference in my life.
Well, I've been very blessed, and you've made a big... Rebecca worked for me as a nurse for a few years, way back in the 90s, and that was a big turning point for me, so I thank you as well.
Well, and I'll share that one short story about how I got the job. I worked independently as a caregiver. Why do you work independent? Because you get more money. You go.
There's no middleman to take.
It just makes sense.
Yeah.
So when you work with a company, an organization, then you don't make the same wage. However, God advised me to go to an agency specifically, and He told me what to ask for. Now, I had been working and making very good money independently. I didn't need an agency. You know, I would run an ad, and because I had nursing experience in the States, and I was fine without an agency. But God specifically told me to go to a particular agency. He said, now when you go, you ask for a young man who is paralyzed and who is into New Age. And I said, do you have anybody that fits that? And he said, he looked at me and said, well, yes, we do. I said, well, that job is mine.
Oh, that's amazing.
And that's the direction I get.
Never heard that whole story. Wow.
No, I probably never told you.
Wow.
And that's how, and he said, well, he said that it was a wonderful young man. Eliyahu wasn't married yet. And he said, but you need to be open-minded and flexible, you know. He has an interesting life. And the man that was talking to me was
Steve Schwartz.
Yes, but he was religious.
A religious Jew.
And yes, so anything outside of that was an interesting life. He was very kind in saying that. Mm-hmm. So that was the beginning with Eliyahu and myself. But God specifically directed it.
Yes.
And by the way, the money situation worked out fine because he didn't do what the agency, somehow I worked for you differently.
I don't even remember, it was so many years ago.
Oh, it was, but I was amazed that all that had been an initial concern of mine, that all the angles are taken care of when you move according to direction.
Okay. Well, I hope this is one new direction for you, Rebecca. And I would love to continue this. To hear more of your amazing stories and your amazing revelations and what you've been getting.
And the amazing revolution.
Yes, which your own life has gone through.
Yeah.
So until next time, dear friends, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. This is great. We had a great lunch, by the way.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.